welcome back to Faeryfay's Knits podcast. This is episode 2. Thank you for watching if you watched episode 1, and hello if you're watching episode 2. I'm in Australia and it's very hot today, so excuse me if I have to stop and take a breath. Okay, I am known as Faye on the internet, Faeryfay on Instagram and YouTube. That's Faeryfay, and on Pinterest, and Fayknits3 on Ravelry, the numeral 3. Okay, I'm going to start today by talking about some podcasts that I've been watching. I have seen some fabulous podcasts over the last couple of weeks. One of my favourite is The Grocery Girls, which I was watching this morning. They are fabulous, well worth having a look at. Who else? The Charm of It with Ava. That was a really, really lovely podcast. The Rosehip Knits podcast from Tasmania in Australia. That's a lovely one. Happy Spider. She does an audio podcast that I listen to. She's from here as well. And Brownie Knits, I've been watching her as well because she just completed the Passerine hat, which is what I'm doing with one of my whips, which I will show you in a moment. Oh, and Sticks and Twine, Eric, he's in Canada, as are the Grocery Girls. They're all fabulous, just love all of them. Okay, so Brownie Knits, Gina from Brownie Knits has finished her Passerine hat. I am still going, and that might be a good intro into whips. So I started the Passerine hat I showed you last by Erica Herser. Yes, Erica Herser. And it's the beanie hat with birds on it. And I started it because our guild is doing colour work. And I chose that one because it's in a sock yarn, it's not too heavy for my hands. And I had some Cascade sock yard, Heritage. And what I've done is paired up the grey with a lovely plum. And I have started, and this is the bottom of it. I've got it on, I think size 3 needles, but I actually think that my gauge would be better on size maybe 2.5 millimeters, that is. So I did a rib, and I've just started on the colour work of the branches and the tails of the birds. And what I was concerned about, which I asked with one of the very experienced knitters at the guild, was in the past when I've done colour work, I've only had to carry my yarn across a few stitches, maybe 3 to 5 stitches. So these floats here would be carried maybe 3 or 4 or 5 stitches, so it didn't really matter. And you can see that in the Kate Davies hat where, oh, those yellow ones are passed a bit far, but most of the floats you can see really aren't that long. But in this hat, the chart has the birds, and there's quite a few sections where there's a bird will be like, I don't know, up to maybe 10, there'll be 10, a gap of 10, so I'm carrying the yarn across 10. And I wasn't quite sure whether that was going to work, because when you put your hands in the hat to put it on your head, if you've got a float like that, really, really long, you'll get your hands in it, and I'm just not sure whether it will stretch when you put the hat on. So I was a bit concerned. So anyway, I was recommended to carry the yarn, and then halfway at about stitch 5, just twist it so that it's carried. And you can see I've done that on, that's fine, there's a float there. And I've just tucked it in, twisted the yarn so it's carried across. I'm not sure if you can see that. I might put a still in there. Okay, so that was a bit of a problem, but I think it's going to work out, and I'm really enjoying the pattern. I think it's going to be lovely, and all the ladies at the guild, when I showed them the pattern, were really impressed and said that those birds are going to look gorgeous. And on the Brownie Knits podcast, Gina's hat looks fabulous. I know she used Mad Tosh, I think. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm really happy I'm doing that. So, and that was on Heritage Cascade sock yarn. So, and I'm very happy with the way it's knitting up, even though I think my gauge, I should probably be on smaller needles. But anyway, I'm giving it a go, and we'll see how that eventuates. Other whips, the fingerless gloves are still going. I won't show them today. I did swap to a new needle. I bought new needles. I can't remember which ones, but I'll put them in the show notes because they're absolutely gorgeous, and I really love knitting with them. Okay, I'm also knitting with the Hermione Everyday Socks by Erica Luda. And I do have to say, I said it in the last podcast, but I'm loving this yarn. The colours are coming out, and the texture of the knit pattern is so fabulous. I'm actually thinking I'm going to buy a few more skeins of this just to knit something else, hats, gloves or something, because possibly even a cardigan, because it's just divine, and I'm just loving this pattern. I did so far, this is knit sock 1, so I'm sorry, I'm a bit slow this week, well this month actually. Heel flap, normal heel turn, cuff, and I'm just up to the toe now, so I'll do a normal toe with a kitchenette top. And it's just so beautiful. And I did put it on my foot this morning with my toes popping out just to check when I should start the toe. And it felt so soft. It was just lovely. I really love this yarn. This is in the Fjord, Heritage Sock Fjord colourway. And there's another couple of colourways in there that I really want to get as well, in the blues and I think a purple. Anyway, so that's that. That's the yarn caked up. Okay, well that's all the whips I've got. Oh, I did have to mention in my Even Star shawl, I showed last week, it's going in the show this week, so that's a bit exciting. It's this Cascade Yarns alpaca lace, and the colourway is number 1403, if you're wondering. Okay, what else have I been up to? I've also been listening to Mina Phillip from the Knitting Expat, and she is fabulous, of course. I watch everything she does, and I want to try some of her patterns. I'm also on her Ravelry group. I'm going in with her swap. She's doing a swap, a yarn swap, an international yarn swap, so where you buy yarn or get yarn from your area, wherever you live. So for me it would be Australia, and you send that yarn to your partner, and she's going to organise the partners so that we live far away from each other. And I assume I'll probably get one from America, and then they send me yarn from where they're from. So it's a good way of trying new yarns and things, and also learning about other places and what yarns there are in the world. So that's good. But also it's good because I'll buy local yarn and I'll learn about my local yarn as well. I mean, I do buy some yarn from around here, from like indie dyers, and I'll probably do that for that yarn swap, so that's very exciting. So I'll be checking that and getting my partner soon, so that'll be great. And I've also been watching Fibre by Design O-Loops. they're fabulous as well. So they're just a few podcasts that I've been watching lately. Oh, and my tea. I'm going to have a bit of tea because it's terribly, terribly hot here today. I'm having organic rosehip tea in my lovely cup and saucer that I got from a friend from the Knitting Guild. And it's just a Narada rosehip organics tea, and I think it's got ginger. Oh look, I'm so organised today. I brought the pack. Rosehip, lemongrass and ginger organic herbal infusion, and Narada I think is an Australian make, and it's so yummy. It's quite sweet. I have rosehip most days. It's one of my favourites, and I add a little bit of honey, so it's lovely and sweet in my beautiful cup and saucer, which makes me feel very special. Okay. Oh, I forgot to show you my stitch markers on the passerine hat. So I've got a stitch marker every 10 stitches, just because otherwise I lose count and I'm not very good at counting. And I am using my stitch marker, it's a little sheep, if you can see that. And then the halfway mark, there is a TARDIS. And they are gorgeous. I got them from Etsy, and I get my stitch markers from Tackletot's or Chaton on Etsy. Okay, so I love stitch markers. Okay, I was going to go on with books, but actually I haven't shown you my acquisition for this month. I usually get quite a few per month, but anyway. I was at the hospital the other day and I had to have a scan, my bone scan, and they had to put in the isotope. It was to look at inflammation in my bones, I think. Anyway, they had to inject a radioactive isotope or something in, and then I had to wait 3 hours and come back for the scan. So my husband took me to the hospital, and so I had the injection, and we were like, well, what do we do now for 3 hours at the hospital? And he suggested going to the local yarn shop just near the hospital. So I went along, and he sat outside in the sun and read his book, and I had a lovely time looking at sock yarns. They had an awful lot of just DK and heavy yarns, but they also had a few lace, and I found in the back corner, the sock yarns, there was some beautiful New Zealand yarns. I almost bought the Waikiki possum mix with merino, I think. I didn't. So, and I picked up some Sirdar yarn, which my mum calls Sirdar. She's English. So I'm not quite sure which and this is English, so she probably has the right pronunciation. It is 75% wool, 25% nylon, and it's got shades of green, blue and brown in it, which are all very much my colours. I just love it, and it's going to be self-striping, so they're going to be gorgeous. I'm thinking of doing maybe a fish lips kiss heel on that one, which I think is better on stripes, but we'll see. I'm not quite sure, but that will definitely be a really nice pair of socks, so I'm looking forward to starting them once I finish my Hermione ones. I've also been to the library this week, and I got out Colourwork Stitches. Over 250 designs to knit, edited by Susie Johns, C&B Crafts, The Harmony Guides. This is fabulous. It's just full of different stitch patterns for colour work, and there's a few patterns in there that I'm thinking of maybe putting into a hat. So I just knit the rib and then have like a band of colour work. So I'm thinking maybe of doing one with horses on for my nephew, possibly, or niece. But anyway, that's just going on in my head at the moment. I got Colour by Kristen. How to Design Your Own Beautiful Knits, Kristen Nicholas. I think I've borrowed this like maybe 3 times or 4 times from the library. It's got some great patterns in. I just like it because it's got some bright ideas, and at the back it's got some stitch patterns in colour work, and it goes page by page of how many stitches there are in the stitch pattern. So that's really helpful if you'd like designing your own socks or hat and you just need to know how many repeats you're going to do. This book by Cookie A, Sock Innovation, which I got from a friend at the Guild. Lovely, lovely book with some beautiful designs in it. I love this book, and I will be knitting patterns from it very definitely. So, and that was not from the library, that book, but I do go to the library once or twice, usually once a week if I can, depending on how my joints are going, and medications and things. And I go to a knitting group there with some lovely ladies, some very experienced knitters in that group, knitters who have knitted a lot of different types of knitting, a lot of feral knitters, a lot of crocheters as well actually, some very good crocheters, and then there are also some just beginner ladies who come along, so that's a really fun, lovely group, and I really enjoy all the ladies. I was telling them about the fish lips kiss heel the other day, which they thought was hilarious, and tried to say it many times fast. So that was really good. And then I have my guild, which I go to once a month, with also some very experienced knitters in. I'm very lucky to have a community around me, well, close around, with knitters who are just as passionate about knitting as me, so that's really fabulous. I think that's the end of episode 2. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Like, subscribe and comment. Thank you. Bye.